You've been taught that the goal is to be liked, to be relatable, to be kind, to be emotionally open, that the more vulnerable you are, the more people will respect you. That being genuine is the path to trust. That being patient is strength. That being sensitive means depth. That being good means you will win. And you've believed it, without question, because it was packaged in a smile, because it was reinforced by weak men and rewarded by people who needed you soft, because it's easier to be accepted than to stand alone, because blending in is safer than walking alone into the cold. But here's the truth. You've been trained to be harmless. Every time you apologized when you didn't mean it. Every time you lowered your voice so others would feel more comfortable. Every time you gave more attention to someone who gave you less. Every time you avoided confrontation not out of strategy, but out of fear. Every time you said yes when you wanted to say no, you weren't being kind. You weren't being mature. You weren't being noble. You were being conditioned to be weak, because weakness is easier to control. Harmlessness is easier to exploit. And emotional openness without strategy is just self-sabotage with a smile. No one fears a man who always explains himself. No one respects a man who can't sit in silence. No one follows a man who wants to be liked. And no one, absolutely no one, takes orders from a man who can't say no without guilt. But here's the deeper problem. You think being nice makes you safe. You think that if you're generous, women won't leave. If you're polite, enemies won't strike. If you stay humble, no one will target you. If you share your emotions, people will understand you. They won't. They'll study you, measure you, dissect your patterns like wolves watching a wounded deer. And the moment you become predictable, the moment you reveal what hurts you, is the moment they realize how to control you. You've mistaken weakness for safety. You've mistaken surrender for maturity. You've mistaken self-erasure for love. And they never corrected you because it benefited them. Your softness made them feel strong. Your passivity gave them space to dominate. Your silence, not the powerful kind, but the uncertain kind, allowed them to script your life for you. Let me give you a simple law. The one who does not need approval controls the ones who do. That's what makes someone dangerous. Not rage, not volume, not arrogance, but complete detachment from the need to be liked, understood, or accepted. Because when you don't need their approval, you're free to speak cold truths. When you don't seek their affection, you're free to walk away without warning. When you're not desperate to be chosen, you become the one who chooses. And here's what no one wants to admit. You can either be admired or obeyed, never both. You can be charming or you can be feared, but not at the same time. And every man you admire, whether it's in business, politics, war, or history at some point, chose fear, cold fear, strategic distance, psychological control, ruthless clarity. Machiavelli said it best. It is much safer to be feared than loved. If one must choose, you were taught the opposite. But you weren't taught that by kings, or by strategists, or by masters of power. You were taught that by teachers, therapists, influencers, people trained to keep society stable, not men powerful. There's a difference. The world does not reward good intentions. It rewards strategic impact. So now you sit here anxious, overthinking, emotionally drained, wondering why you're overlooked, disrespected, ignored, because no one fears you. Not because you're bad, but because you're soft, predictable, trained. And if you keep playing the same script, you will die a kind man forgotten. This video, right now, is your rupture point, your exit. Because the truth is this: every dangerous man was once a harmless boy who got tired of being used. He got tired of explaining himself, tired of waiting for reciprocity, tired of being asked for more while receiving less, tired of being told to be kind by people who never practiced kindness themselves. And the day he chose silence was the day he became untouchable. If you want to stay liked, close this video. But if you want to become powerful, to walk into a room and feel no need to impress, to speak and know your words, pierce through noise, to stand alone and be respected in your absence, then keep watching. This video will not make you happy. It will make you dangerous. Power doesn't begin with action. It begins with refusal. Not with what you do, but with what you no longer tolerate, no longer chase, no longer explain. The first step to becoming dangerous isn't about gaining anything. It's about cutting away, sharpening your edges by removing what softens them, walking lighter because you've let go of everything unnecessary, the need to be understood, to be liked, to be explained. Let's be clear, neediness is the highest form of exposure. If someone knows what you crave, they control you. If a woman knows you need her affection to feel alive, she owns you. If your boss knows you need this job to feel validated, they'll grind you into dust. If society knows you need their approval to feel worthy, you will bend to every trend, every new moral, every collective guilt trip. And here's the brutal truth. You act weakest where you crave the most. The guy who needs her text back will check his phone 10 times an hour. The guy who needs friends to feel accepted will laugh at jokes he doesn't find funny. The guy who needs peace so badly will avoid all conflict, even the ones where he should be the storm. It's not about what you say. It's what you can't walk away from that defines your leverage. Because the man who walks away is always stronger than the one who pleads to stay. Machiavelli didn't write about kindness. He wrote about control, territory, stability through fear. And while you may not be a Prince of Florence, your life is still a court filled with people who assess your usefulness, exploit your tells, and test your reactions. In that court, weakness is not forgiven. It's noted and remembered. Let's bring this into the real world. Example 1. In relationships, you think giving more will make her love you, so you're always available. You reply instantly. You explain yourself every time she's cold. You show her you're different, that you're not like other men. And she smiles, but deep down, she knows the truth: you're replaceable. Because men who try to be loved are common. Men who need her approval are everywhere. You've made yourself too known, too eager, too emotional. She knows your rhythms, and worse, she knows her absence would destroy you. That's not love, that's captivity. Contrast that with the man who is focused, silent, detached, who does not explain, who doesn't rush to clarify, who doesn't ask, "Where are we?" She feels something else. Not comfort, not security, but curiosity, mystery, respect, because she realizes this man could leave, and that changes everything. Women don't fall for men they fully understand. They fall for men they feel they can never fully own. Example 2. In the workplace, you think loyalty to a company will protect you, so you stay quiet. You take on extra work. You smile at people who ignore your ideas. You never draw lines, and one day, you're surprised when they cut you out of the next promotion, replace you, or forget your name once you're gone. Because loyalty without power is just silence in chains. Now contrast that with the man who moves like he's playing a game, who doesn't attach identity to the job, who keeps options open, who doesn't need their approval. He's respected. Not always liked, but respected. Because he has something more powerful than praise: indifference. The ability to walk away, the refusal to beg, the restraint to stay silent even when insulted. That's what makes someone unpredictable. And unpredictable men in a world that thrives on pattern recognition are always feared. Let's go deeper. You think people want kindness? They don't. They want certainty. They want to feel that you cannot be moved, cannot be shaken, cannot be guilted into apology when you've done nothing wrong. And if you need nothing, they will either test you or follow you. Most will test. They'll poke, delay replies, mock your tone, question your choices. Disagree not because they care, but because they need to know if you'll collapse. And if you do, even once, they know you're still playing the approval game. But if you remain still, not rude, not emotional, just cold, still, composed, they recalibrate. You just became an object of gravity, and gravity doesn't explain itself. It pulls. This is the root of all attraction. Not personality, not effort, but self-containment. The less you need, the more others wonder what you're full of. You're not dangerous because you fight. You're dangerous because you don't flinch. You're not powerful because you yell. You're powerful because you speak rarely, and when you do, people fall silent. The greatest strength is to not need the things others base their identities on. That's what makes you dangerous. You stop chasing affection and women are drawn to your absence. You stop proving your intelligence and people ask for your thoughts. You stop broadcasting your goals and others assume you're already ahead. You stop apologizing for who you are and they adjust. But only once you stop needing to be seen. The moment you shift from hunger to presence, from craving to silence, from approval to self-reliance, you become something else, something they can't use, something they can't reach, something they can't shake. You become untouchable, and that is where power begins. You think you're being honest, you think you're building trust, you think you're connecting, but what you're really doing is handing out your blueprint. Every time you talk too much, every time you reveal your fears, every time you over-explain, every time you say, "I just want to be real with you," what you're really saying is, "Here's how to control me." Because in the real world, transparency is exposure, not virtue. Machiavelli warned a prince never lacks legitimate reasons to break his promise. Why? Because the world isn't built on truth. It's built on control. And control does not belong to the one who reveals. It belongs to the one who withholds. The man who speaks last owns the room. The man who reveals less owns the narrative. And the man who reacts least owns the battlefield. But you've been trained to do the opposite. You walk into a conversation like a beggar. "Here's everything about me. Please accept it." You tell her you had a tough childhood, that you've been heartbroken, that you've got trust issues, that you just want something real. You think you're bonding, but what you've done is draw a perfect map of every landmine inside you. Now she knows how to hurt you, or worse, how to manipulate you, and she might not even do it with malice. But human nature is strategic. When people know your buttons, they press them sometimes just to see if they still work. You've made it easy, predictable, accessible, soft, and that's why she lost respect for you. Not because you were a bad man, but because you were too emotionally available, too fast. Real connection doesn't come from openness. It comes from earned access, from tension, from psychological challenge, from measured silence, because what people work for, they respect. What people get for free, they discard. You don't tell her you've been cheated on, she has to sense it and earn your past. You don't tell her you want something serious, she has to work to figure that out. You don't explain what kind of man you are, she has to spend time to find out. That's why most men lose before the game starts. They make it too easy. They try to show who they are hoping to be loved faster. But what's loved quickly is often forgotten even faster. Let's talk about power in communication. The one who listens more wins. You think talking gives you control? It doesn't. Talking too much makes your emotional patterns visible. It shows your urgency. It gives your pace away. It reveals your intentions. And once your intentions are clear, your leverage disappears. But the man who says little and watches everything, he controls the tempo. He lets others reveal first. He lets others feel the need to fill the silence, and in doing so, they expose their hand. Now he knows their rhythm, and they know nothing of his. He is feared, not because of threat, but because of restraint. This is how cold men dominate warm rooms, not by force, but by precision. The room adjusts to their stillness. The conversation adjusts to their silence. The others second-guess their own words, while the cold man says nothing and gains everything. Ask yourself, how often do you explain? How often do you say, "I didn't mean it like that"? How often do you clarify to protect someone's feelings? How often do you repeat yourself when someone ignores your boundary? Every time you explain, you lower your power, because high-value men don't explain. They decide. You want to be dangerous, then let people misunderstand you. Let them guess. Let them wonder if you're upset. Let them interpret your silence however they want. Because in a world full of desperate noise, the man who says nothing and holds his ground commands everything. Let me show you this principle in the wild. Workplace meeting. Everyone's pitching, speaking fast, pleasing the boss. You sit quiet. You observe. You speak once sharply, slowly, decisively. The room shifts because you don't talk to be heard. You speak because your words end discussion. Social conflict. Someone mocks you in public. You don't laugh. You don't retaliate. You look at them with no reaction. You say nothing. The silence is heavier than any insult. Why? Because people fear what they can't read. And if they can't read you, they can't control you. Dating. She tries to trigger you, pulls away, tests you, asks why you're cold. You don't react. You don't chase. You don't explain. Because your worth doesn't depend on whether she understands you. That's what makes you dangerous. Not charm, not game, but the ability to be unmoved, to stand in fire and never flinch, to be questioned and not explain, to be tested and not react, to be misunderstood and stay silent, because silence, when deliberate, becomes your greatest weapon. In the game of control, it's not about who is right, it's about who is more contained, and when you're the one no one can read, no one can predict, no one can shake, they will all adjust to you. If they don't know what you're doing, they can't stop you. That's the essence of real power opacity. You've been told to announce your goals, share your plans, speak your truth, communicate your needs. But the more they know, the more they can block, predict, undermine, control. Machiavelli warned, never reveal the whole of your intentions. Why? Because power isn't gained by volume. It's gained by invisibility, by becoming the kind of man who moves through systems, relationships, and social hierarchies without leaving fingerprints. The lion roars, the fox smiles, but the strategist, he disappears into the structure of things. And by the time people feel his influence, it's too late. Let's look at the mistake most men make. They broadcast. They say they're going to change, start a business, leave a woman, take back control, set new boundaries, shift their energy. And for one brief moment, they feel powerful. But it's not real. It's anticipatory validation, the illusion of strength before any action. Because the moment you announce your plan, the resistance begins. Opinions flood in, distractions multiply. Others calculate how to delay you, or worse, copy you. And now you're drained before you've even moved. Strategy dies in public. It thrives in silence. Ask yourself, when was the last time you made a decision and told no one? When was the last time you quietly walked away without explanation? When was the last time you built something in complete darkness? You don't need to lie. You just need to withhold. The most dangerous man is the one with nothing to prove and no one to inform. He lets his silence carry the weight. Let's go into real-world applications. 1. In relationships. She asks, what are we? You don't respond with poetry. You don't make promises. You don't outline a 5-year vision. You say, I'm here right now, and I move based on respect. No explanation, no emotional vulnerability, just presence, standards, clarity. She'll either rise to your level or remove herself. Either way, you win. Because the moment you tell her you need her, crave her, dream of her, she gains control. You've shifted power to the one who is less invested. But the man who stays, without attachment, is always above the one who seeks reassurance. 2. In career or business, don't announce your next move. Let them think you're stagnant until you're 10 steps ahead. Don't post your projects before they're done. Let them wonder where you went until your results speak in headlines. Don't ask for mentorship by begging. Become so coldly competent that the right people feel compelled to open doors for you. Your presence must be heavier than your announcements, because men who build in silence become myths. 3. In conflict. They insult you, mock you, spread lies. You don't fight back. You don't scream for truth. You don't set the record straight. You vanish and rebuild and outlast. Because true revenge isn't proving them wrong. It's becoming so far removed that they no longer have the right to comment. You don't win by engaging. You win by becoming untouchable. Now, understand this. The weak think strength is loud, but the strong know every word you say is an opening. Every sentence is a clue. Every confession is a weapon handed over. So you speak less, not out of fear, but out of control. Because once you're no longer driven by the need to be seen, you become dangerously free. No one can guilt you, no one can bind you, no one can predict or label you. You move when you decide, not when they ask. And that's what breaks their system. You refuse to be readable. Your energy is tight, your schedule is closed, your inner world is locked. Now you're outside their reach, and people feel it. They notice you're not trying to be liked. You don't ask for company. You don't justify your solitude. You don't promote your progress. And suddenly, you're magnetic. Because they realize you are no longer one of them. You are no longer craving visibility. You've entered another class, the class of men who move like shadows. Not mysterious by intention, but strategic by nature. Let me make this final point. Power is in your absence. In being the one who doesn't attend, the one who doesn't respond, the one who doesn't post, the one who doesn't correct the rumors. Because once you master detachment from the need to be noticed, they begin to notice more than ever. Not because you demanded attention, but because you stole it with silence. That's the paradox. The more invisible you become, the more unforgettable you are. Now you know the truth. Everything you were taught to be liked, to be open, to be available was designed to keep you tame, to keep you manageable, to keep you from becoming a man others adjust to. Because a man who is liked is useful, but a man who is feared is untouchable. You've spent years trying to be liked, to be understood, to be enough for people who never once stopped to earn you. And where has that gotten you? You speak and they talk over you. You give and they take more. You stay and they respect you less. Because your presence has never carried weight. It was never dangerous. But now you begin to change. Because you no longer chase affection. You chase clarity. You no longer ask to be accepted. You set boundaries. You no longer explain your decisions. You execute without warning. And that is when they start to fear you. Not the fear of harm, not aggression, but the cold, unsettling fear of a man who needs nothing from them. A man who can walk away. A man who does not flinch. A man who does not care to be understood. This is the final transformation. You do not need to be understood. You do not need to be loved. You only need to be feared with quiet respect. The man who is feared doesn't need to speak often. His actions make others think twice. He doesn't need attention. His absence makes them nervous. He doesn't need followers. His presence alters the atmosphere. They can't read him. They can't shame him. They can't bend him. And that's what makes him dangerous. Let's be precise. Being feared does not mean you become cruel. It means you become indifferent to approval. That when someone pulls away from you, your rhythm doesn't break. That when someone insults you, your face doesn't move. That when someone tests you, you don't react, you observe. And when it's time to move, you do so in silence, sharp, clean, without ceremony. This is the Machiavellian ideal control over chaos. Your emotions serve you, not others. Your time is sovereign, not borrowed. Your speech is rare and final. Now let's look forward. The world won't change for you, but it will adjust to you. Because when you no longer participate in emotional games, they have no leverage. When you stop explaining your silence, they fill it with fear. When you walk without asking permission, they begin to follow. When you withhold your validation, they begin to crave it. And when you disappear fully, without warning, they collapse. That's the edge you must carry, the threat of distance, the silence that commands. Most men will never get here. They'll keep seeking softness, apologizing for their confidence, explaining their intentions, begging to be heard, and they will die surrounded by people who never respected them. But you will be different, because you don't need to win with kindness. You win by not reacting, by mastering restraint, by sitting in silence longer than they can handle, by withholding energy until they earn it, by being the one no one sees coming. Machiavelli said men must either be caressed or annihilated. And the truth is, the most feared man does neither. He walks alone, and in his absence, others annihilate themselves. He offers no comfort, no warmth, no explanation, and yet every room bends around him. This is the paradox of true power. You are not dangerous because you fight. You are dangerous because you no longer need to. You are not powerful because you are loud. You are powerful because you never speak more than necessary. You are not feared because you threaten. You are feared because you don't care if they stay. And now, you understand. To be powerful in this world, you don't need a crown. You need silence. You need absence. You need self-mastery. And the cold, unshakable presence of a man who has nothing to prove and everything to execute. You are not here to be loved. You are not here to be known. You are here to become a man they cannot touch because they cannot understand him. A man who lives by no one's timeline. A man who speaks when it ends conversations. A man who listens, moves, and vanishes without ever needing to be seen. And that's what makes you feared. That's what makes you free. That's what makes you dangerous.